Welcome to another episode here at the Masculine Health Solutions Podcast. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. And once again, I thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. And today, I know you guys are going to enjoy this one. I sat down with Ana Lennyr, right? And her specialty is basically stopping people from committing suicide, amongst many other things, because she, guys, is somebody who specializes in basically breaking down life. She is a life strategist, right? So and the conversation that we had, she broke down a lot of different things when it comes to relationship and as to why they don't work and why a lot of men, are failing in their relationships. But also, one thing, a lot of people don't want to hear these days is why women are also doing an awful job in them and why this disconnect is happening. And she really enlightened me with her approach to it. Because in a day and age, like right now, a lot of the things that she was saying would be quote unquote taboo. However, if you want to have a good marriage, a good relationship, you basically can't avoid the truth. You cannot avoid the truth. And she just broke it down elegantly. And she just talked about how, these are the cold hard facts. And if they don't like it, you want to be this, that, and the other, hey man, by all means. However, in a relationship, and to make things work, men have a certain role, women have a certain role too, right? And she talked about the beauty of this balance and how, this is a big reason as to why a lot of these marriages aren't working. And she broke down communication. She broke down, the advice was just wicked. I mean, I had to go back and take more notes myself, right? But she really broke it down in a very, very elegant way, right? And a little bit more about Ana before we get into today's conversation. Ana is a premier life a life strategist who specializes in helping teenagers and adults build strong and supportive family relationships. She addresses the root cause as to why so many people are being held back. She removes any of the excuses, replaces them with reasons and opportunities. Ana herself went through an extremely difficult time. She dealt with abandonment by her father, an alcoholic mother, insomnia for 2.5 years, suicide attempt at 19, chronic pain, migraines for 27 years of her life, obesity, a non-alcoholic liver hepatitis, poverty, and a depressed child. But what makes her unique, and guys, this is legit what makes her unique, is that she combines being a teacher, psychologist, and parent with her anti-depression expertise. Ana Lennyr changes teens and adults' lives in subtle ways without lecturing, confrontation, or therapy. Her philosophy is simple: master the game of life so you will never be trapped in pain and hurt again. And legit, guys, after the conversation that I had with her, my jaw dropped a couple times because I'm like, oh man, like that makes perfect sense. And they're not teaching us this. If you go to school, you go anywhere in this modern society, as beautiful as it is, they're not teaching us a lot of things that she was bringing up. And a lot of the points that she was bringing up made perfect sense. So guys, I hope you enjoy this one. And I hope you guys really take a whole lot out of it. I know I did, and I hope you will too. All right, let's jump on in. Penis enhancement may seem like a difficult endeavor. However, Me Coach makes it simple. We all know the best way to reach your goals as fast as possible is with a coach. Me Coach offers you just that by giving you an individualized, tailor-made plan specific to your needs. Me Coach has helped thousands of clients improve erectile quality, increase penis length, penis girth, and has helped men improve their sexual stamina to last a whole lot longer. Me Coach is about actually helping you every step of the way in your penis enlargement journey. Unlike many of the crazy gimmicks you may see online, what sets Me Coach apart is the approach. First off, you will get your program created for you by AJ Big Al Alfaro and his team of trusted professionals who have been helping men in the PE realm for decades. They put their expertise into making your program. By using Me Coach, you will have AJ every step of the way to make sure you're exercising safely and effectively to reach your goals. Me Coach focuses on seeing you get to where you want to go in the safest, most efficient way possible. Me Coach also helps men suffering from abnormal curvatures in their penises by using specialized techniques to straighten things out. If you are ready to take your penis enhancement to the next level, you can totally try it out now, risk-free. Now, if you get started, it will start off with a new client interview, customized routine to achieve your goals, Me Coach progress log, access to over 30 exercises, 10 routines, safety guides, one-on-one personal penis training, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So be sure to check out Me Coach by clicking the link in the description below. Welcome to another wonderful episode here at the Masculine Health Solutions Podcast. I got Ana Lennyr in today to basically break down a lot of things that are, happening to men all the time. And not just that, she's not, what I love about Ana right off the bat is that she's not scared to get into it and talk about suicide and other things that a lot of people are just kind of hard pressed, and she doesn't care who her audience is. So I just love that. Ana, how are you today?
I am fine, CJ. Thank you for inviting me.
I am honored to have you here, and your energy speaks for itself. I did see a couple of the clips that you had on where you're just like, yeah, this is the way it is. This is what's happening. And what I love is the energy that you have. So first off, I want to know what was at the root of that and what made you start this journey, or even going back further, what was it like in childhood for you?
Yeah, so my childhood was very similar to a lot of children in depression childhood, male and female. I was depressed since the age of 7. I had a tremendous amount of health problems, including headaches, S-shaped scoliosis, insomnias, a suicidal attempt at 19 and a half. I was abandoned by my father, and deep down, I was feeling a tremendous hate towards men, which made me end up in 2 divorces after that, losing like 2 decades of my life and over $100,000, right? Because you're programmed to see things when you're growing up from one perspective. The truth was, why would my father live with an alcoholic mother?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if you look at, not only the perspective where you taught in a certain way to hate something, right? In going towards that victim position that, oh my God, what happened to you? And you put yourself in the other person's shoes, right? It's like, there is no way in hell as a man, I would marry, and live with an alcoholic woman just to raise a child.
Yeah.
Right. So these kind of things happens to my clients only when they are trying to save the kid from the mother.
Yeah.
Which it happens a lot, because we have a lot of clients like that. They're trying to save their children from the mother. And I tell them, you cannot do this. You cannot continue to do this. You are a bad role model for your own child. So here you need to show the kid 2 different worlds, the bad one and the good one, so they can choose the good one in time, and they're not going to get clicked into the bad one, right? We have a lot of clients. I just dealt with one yesterday. I have to be honest. I was very angry. I was like, how can you hate your husband when you have a son? Do you realize the repercussions of that? You hate men. You hate your husband. You have a son that's going to hate you. And she was like, I didn't realize that. He's just a child. No, he's a man. Mm-hmm. Right? So these kind of things, this is why we're addressing these issues, these relationship issues. We're addressing this depression thing and suicide in men and women, because it is important to say the truth.
Yeah. And that's interesting too, because a lot of the times, and that right there just sums it up as to why, your energy is true. I find that right now, everybody, it doesn't matter what side they're on, everybody picks a side and everybody's just fighting. And everybody just fight, and nobody gets along. And then everybody's just kind of like, oh, I don't know what's wrong with these kids. I don't know why they're so pissed off. Meanwhile, everybody's throwing crap at each other, and the kids are just picking up on that. And it's interesting that you told her that. And I'm pretty sure that as soon as she realized it, she probably changed her tune a bit.
And no, not only she changed her tune, but she turned mute. she had a huge awakening moment, right? So these kind of things cannot happen. And yeah, thank you, CJ, for bringing awareness to this and to be able to discuss this issue, so we won't get there, because nobody wants a child to be suicidal or depressed. Nobody wants to live without love all their life and wake up like I had somebody approaching me said, well, I'm 72 and I'm depressed and I was alone for the rest of my life. I'm like, I cannot help you right now.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to date you at this age. I'm sorry. Right? Like if you would have addressed the problem earlier, you would have realized that you were afraid of, commitment and afraid of getting married and having somebody because you didn't have the right relationship skill. I would have been able to help you at 72. Who the heck dates you? I cannot help you. Right? So these kind of things, we don't realize that a life without love is a sad life.
Yeah, that is true.
And it ruins us all.
I think so. And it's funny too, because you look at all these people, it almost seems like it starts off with childhood and it seems like there's some type of neglect, and it always seems like there's always something to just kind of bandage that on top. And then I heard an expression about depression, right, where it was almost like you can only hold the beach ball underwater for so long, and then eventually it pops up and it says, hey, I'm here, I'm unresolved trauma, and now I'm going to take over your life at 33 or mid 30s or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not only that. The society here is a society based on hating men. So just to give you an example, I was on Clubhouse a couple of months ago. I didn't have time to go on Clubhouse. I am so busy. 'Cause I have people with real problems that they need their problem solved. Forget about talking on Clubhouse. Right? So I remember when I was, talking is like, oh, you guys, we're women and men on Clubhouse. I'm like, who the heck is checking who's a woman and who's a man there? They're listening to you and stuff like that. And I receive a backstage message from a girl. It's very disrespectful for us women to be called guys. And she even sent me some kind of link to some kind of article by, I don't know what kind of magazine. I'm like, do you realize how frustrated you are when I'm addressing an entire audience with guys and you feel so frustrated about it and so offended about it? Do you realize you're never going to find a man ever in your life? And she was like, that's not what I meant. I'm like, really? What kind of relationship you're going to have with someone when you are so frustrated and offended by the word guys?
Yeah. And you know what the thing is too? I mean, it's one of those taboo subjects that I don't understand, because it's like, listen, like, you just call a group of people guys. What's wrong with that?
What if I call them it? Would that be
sufficient? I mean, at this point, what do you say? It's like, is it one day or many days? I don't know. And that's kind of thing where it's not making any sense. It just doesn't make any sense at this point.
It's such a society program on hating men, right? And I'm not saying there were not abuses at our grandfather's level, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that abandonment didn't occur, like it occurred into my family. But look at the cause of it all. Mm-hmm. Look at the cause of it all. Why would somebody want to stay unhappy with somebody else? And when I usually get approached by men, specifically high-level executive, very successful men, who are asking me, should I get rid of my lease at the office? I'm like, what kind of question is that? I'm a relationship coach. I really don't know anything about leases and how much the lease costs. It's like, listen, I don't get along with my wife. And sometimes I feel like I want to sleep on the couch at the office. I'm like, honey, don't worry. Get rid of a lease. Hotel room is going to be cheaper if we can fix it. Okay. At least it's not a couch. It's a king bed you can order and you can sleep properly. So, things like this. And then, they're like, oh, can you talk to my wife? I'm like, yes, I can talk to the wife. 100% of the time, CJ, I'm not joking. They think, the wives, the women, think that I am there to maneuver, to manipulate their husband. I'm not joking. So, this woman is going to show me tricks so I can change my husband the way I want to. And I'm like, yeah. Just take for first. Let's start with taking this 3-hour relationship course. And then you talk to me and tell me, what did you understand by it? And by the time they call, it's like, I'm mute. Everything I did in my marriage was wrong. I'm like, aha.
Okay.
Now let's talk about how to change things, not to manipulate people. And they're shocked because I'm not on their side, right? It's like, why do you take his side? Why do you, like, it's not about sides, man. You want to save your marriage or you don't.
Yeah.
Which one do you want? Do you want to have a great relationship at home? Okay, do this for a week and see how it goes. Do you like drama? Sorry, no wonder the man does not run away from you faster.
Which is the truth. And for some reason, it's kind of like you bring that up and it's all of a sudden you hate women. I'm like, no, I don't hate women, but it's kind of like I have this conversation with my wife all the time. And she says it too. Like, there's a lot of crazy women out there. Right. And it's kind of like a lot of dudes are just like, I don't want to deal with this. And it's funny that you brought up that relationship too. I know a guy who's dealing or was dealing with his children's mother, and she was an alcoholic. And she was completely, and he was trying to make it work, and it was just a constant battle. And I was almost like, hey man, like he kept on trying to bring it back. However, it never panned out that way because it wasn't ever right. And that's the thing. It's like ultimately, whoever you are, you got to choose. Do you choose the alcohol or you choose your family? Right?
And ultimately, that woman herself was in depression because alcohol, and it doesn't hit people that are not depressed, right? Yeah. It's like you cannot be an alcoholic if you're happy, right? And ultimately, what does a man want? A happy woman next to him. Okay, yeah. So he can come into the house when he is tired and exhausted and fill himself up with joy and happiness so he can go back to a hard job tomorrow, not to be brought down and step on it, right? And things like that just women don't understand. Why do you think your husband comes home?
Exactly.
For what reason?
Relax.
Otherwise, why would not come home, period? Why would he get married? For what reason, right? But these kind of things, how should I say, needs to be at the level of women education, because yes, we are used to manipulate men. Yes, we do a very good job at it. And you know something? They're also defensive and they know all the tricks that we're trying to pull, right? And then it's just, why can't you just say the truth?
Yes.
Why can't you just ask, oh, if I would have told him the truth, what would happen? Man, did you try? Why do you have all of these fairy tales in your head of what's going to happen if and when, and things like that? And this makes men confused. This makes men, how should I say, you don't understand me. And I'll be honest, the first thing that men and women don't understand, there are 4 types of men and 4 types of women. So just because you met one that doesn't understand you, cheats on you or stuff like that, that's just one type. There is another 3 types in the world that you can meet if you know exactly who to get.
And so what are those different types?
So there are 4 types of men in the world. We call them creators, managers, visionaries, and kings. And with each one, you talk in a different way. And there are 4 types of women. We call them princess, mistress, queens, and mothers. Each one has its own value system. Each one of these 4 archetypes of men and women have its own value system. Its own, how should I say, way of thinking, way of feeling. So from a visionary and a queen, you will always think that they're cold and they have no feelings. I'm, for example, a queen, right? So people call me, you have no feelings. I'm like, I do have feelings. I do have a heart and all that. But compared to other archetypes, I'm 1% of how much a princess feels or how much a creator feels, right? Because they have a whole heart into it. I have my mind that dictates what my heart should feel. So you see, these little nuances of who you are, who do you want to meet, right? I give my life for the man next to me and for my child, but I am not going to drama feeling mode of crying.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a very different type of love. And if you don't know who you are, you're going to end up attracting kookadoos. Okay. This is how I call them. All kind of drama and tragedy related people. And you don't understand why. What just happened? Right? Because you don't know who you are and who attract and how to switch it between 4 energies We're always evolving. So we can switch between these four energies, and we need to know at this time, my partner is in the fire mode, which means I don't piss him off because he's going to be angry.
Yeah.
Very simple, right? Now, this partner is into the earth mode. He goes and works 9 to 5. My job as a woman is to just, make him happy home. That's my job, because it has a hard job, right? So these kind of things, you need to know who you are, how to balance it all up, because you're not going to be the fifth element. You're not going to be only 4, right?
Yeah.
But you're switching between them. If you're not switching between them and you stay in one too long, you end up depressed.
Interesting. Why is that? Just the complacency, or you just kind of get bored of it?
Because you're going to keep attracting the same people. You're going to probably end up in a victim position, and you're going to attract people that are predators.
Interesting.
And then your idea of life will be, all people always hurt me.
Yeah.
But they only hurt you because you've been staying for too long in one of these energies. For example, creators or princesses, they're very prone to victimhood. And when they have to move into different positions, they're very, very resistant. But I want to be here, but I'm comfortable. But that's the depression position. Why would you stay there?
Yeah.
Right? People that stay, for example, in the creator princess mode with a mistress and manager, they become alcoholics if they stay too long in these two energies. So, the way you need to move, you always have to move. It's like a dance.
Yeah.
But it's a dance with yourself, and it's a dance with the energies. It's exactly like the earth. It moves twice in different shapes, right? First it moves like this, then it moves like that, and in the same time it moves twice. It plays the dance so it won't knock out the other planets, or the other planets knock out Earth. It's the same thing. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I take a minute there because immediately I had 5 different thoughts come through my mind. But I mean, because the thing is, it freaks me out because it's so relatable when I think of certain people in my life, and I'm like, hey, mate, you just described that person. And one of these people that I know, it's a person close to me, and she always tends to pick up trash bags. And by trash bags, I mean predatorial men that offer her absolutely nothing in this life. And I always ask myself, I'm like, why does she always pick up that dude? That dude ends up beating her or whatever, and then he leaves, and then she picks up another version of the same guy. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
So there are 4 types of relationships that do not work, and 2 types that work. If in your lifetime, let's say in your childhood, let's say your parents, let's say not your parents, let's say the neighbors, whatever, your cousins, whatever, you saw one relationship that does not work, and you lived it, you got close to it, you will pick one of the other 3 that do not work automatically, because you understand that love is suffering. And until you don't snap out of that, and until you don't see and live relationship at work, until you don't get your relationship skill strategies in order, you're gonna bump into, exactly like you mentioned, some kind of other idiot, right? So because I didn't see a relationship that works, okay, because it was a single mother position, the first person I chose was a narcissist.
Yeah.
The second person I chose was a verbally abusive.
Yep.
Right? So these kind of things, until I realized, hold on a second, what just happened? Okay, why this happens to me? Because I'm not that type of person. And I knew from the beginning with both of them there is something wrong with them. Okay, I love them, I fall in love, okay, everything is perfect, you know how it is, honeymoon period. Okay, but I didn't know what. So this is what a lot of times I teach, how to, before you at the first date, to know how this person is thinking before they open their mouth. If it's right for you or not before you get attached.
Interesting.
Okay, and that's for men and women. Otherwise, you get into these relationships where you're going to know there is something wrong, but you beat up yourself. It must be crazy. This person really loves me. Oh, I really love. It's gonna. they're going to change. All women in any relationship start with the premises that the man will change.
Mm-hmm.
And all men in a relationship start with the premises that the wife will never change, the woman will never change. Do you realize that we're starting it wrong?
Wow. That's all I can say, because wow, I mean, it does make perfect sense, because it's almost like you almost just expect that. And I feel like a lot of women are kind of, and it's funny.
After 2-3 years, they all tell me he doesn't change. He didn't change. I'm like, who asked you if he's gonna change? What I thought he's gonna change. Did you ask him if he wants to change? Because he would have said no.
Exactly.
Oh no, I never asked. I just thought that, like, what did you make your reality true of whatever you were thinking? Why are you in dreamland, right? And then I have men after 17-20 years of marriage. My wife changed. I'm like, you bet. After so long. Okay. Also, females are prone to change faster because they change their blood every month, right? So for us, change is faster than men, right? Unless you're depressed and you're frozen. When you're depressed, you're frozen. You never want to change, right? In anything, right? But you need to understand that you can only change between these 4 archetypes of men and women. You just have to play the dance, and you can find a person to grow together and to love you for the rest of your life. You only have to dance with them.
Interesting. Because it makes perfect sense. It's almost like you got to know when to step forward and step back.
You're not going to keep dancing 1, 2, 3 times until you step on somebody else's foot. At some point, that person needs to move a foot.
Exactly.
Okay? Because it's going to say, hi, you're hurting me again. All right. So sooner or later, they're going to realize it was same with you, right? So, things like this is just a dance. And it's amazing because I call it the game of life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are mastering the game of life, you're actually mastering the game of love. And when you have great relationship in your family, everything opens up. You're blooming outside. Your productivity level at work grows exponentially. People see you as a beacon of light. How do you do it? They come to you. You're like attracting successful people, happy people. And then the sky is the limit for you. It's amazing. But when you're hurt and depressed and you don't know how to hide and you don't know how to try to smile, but you have a sad smile, everybody runs away from you.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense, because it's almost like you're clammed up. You can't, one of the expressions that I heard is that you can't receive if your hand's like this. You got to open your hand up, right? And it's almost like if you open yourself up to the world, then you open yourself up to opportunities, ideas, creativity. Everything just kind of starts flowing after that.
And it's hard to open yourself up for love when you have been heartbroken. One of the courses that I teach is how to heal from heartbreak in a month. Don't wait for 30 years to heal from heartbreak, man. You're going to end up to be 72.
Yeah. And then it's,
So things like this, that it's possible. But without the right skills, you don't feel confident. There is a formula. I teach the formula. It's a 7-step formula all the time. This is the formula. You just have to follow it. Don't think you're swinging it. Don't come with your grandmother ideas. My grandmother idea, let me tell you. A man can cheat on you. It's never going to break. Okay. So, things like this, you please don't come with these kind of ideas that, it doesn't solve anything, right? And that is different for men and women. I'll tell you one thing. Now I can talk about it because it was super funny, because a long time I couldn't talk about it. So I had a job on New Year's Eve. So it was a very successful gentleman who, younger than me, who had hired me to get rid of his ex-girlfriend, who did not get the memo that she needs to go. Bye-bye. They were in the same rich circles, and he didn't want any drama. He didn't want any words. He didn't want nothing, because they were both extremely rich and successful, young. And he said, listen, I'm going to find my wife in these circles, and she's going to find, her husband in these circles. So, this drama is not going to help us both, right? So he actually hired me to come to New Year's Eve party and get rid of her. Okay. So she was the job, right? And you will be surprised that she knew she was extremely beautiful. She was in love and everything. And she knew she's not supposed to chase men. She knew that, right? In those circles, she knew that. The only miscalculation was the following. He was pushing her away and she doubled down on him, because this is what we do as women. We pushing guys away because we want them to double down on us.
Ah, interesting.
That was her only miscalculation. As soon as she realized that, she's like, oh my God, I made a fool of myself. I'm like, yeah, you did. Let's fix it. Okay. So do you see how even if you are different energies and you know, 4 men archetypes and women and 4 archetypes, right? Even if they're the same energy and stuff like that, little miscalculations like this ruin your life. She made a fool of herself.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was super, super funny because she called me this last week and she called me, do you remember me? I'm like, yeah, you were the job on New Year's Eve. It's only been 2 months. She's like, I ended up calling my ex. I'm like, we talked about this, but you shouldn't be calling him. Okay. No. I ended up calling him because I lost your number. I'm like, okay, so what's happening? Listen, I fall in love with another guy. And I think it's the same situation. I fall in love too easily and I don't understand where they're into me and when they're not into me.
No.
And I jump and I'm going to make a fool of myself again. Can you check him out? I'm like, listen, you're young and beautiful. I understand you don't want to pay me and all that, but I really can check out all of the men you're going to meet from now until you're going to get married, because I'm going to be full-time hired by you, right? So how about I'll give you this relationship course, go through it, and then we talk about it. And, you know, you need to learn relationships.
Yes.
Okay. And I have a course, it's a universal for men and women, so they understand both sides, of course, right? And by the half of the course, she said, never mind, he's not the right person for me. I'm like, okay, let's talk when you finish the course.
Exactly.
To see who is the right person for you, right? So these kind of things, these little miscalculations ruin our entire life, ruin decades of our life, put us in heartbreak.
Yes.
Little things like that. And the number one question that I get from men and women is like, from men is like, if she cheated on me, can I fix the relationship? And I said, no. What if a woman asked the same thing? If he cheated on me, can I fix the relationship? And I said, yes, you have 20% chance of fixing the relationship. Why is it not the same? It is not the same.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. If a woman cheats on you, she does not respect you.
Yes.
There is no way, there is nothing you can do to gain back that respect. Why does a woman does not respect you? Is because she is considering herself superior. Okay. And because she doesn't feel protected by you. You're probably one of those good guys that are asking, like, what do you want to do for dinner? We do not feel protected next to these kind of men.
Interesting.
When you're coming on a date, when my husband brings me on a date, he tells me, you remember those red shoes, red dress? And yeah, get dressed, we're going. Oh, so it's a high-class restaurant where we go. Yeah. Okay. Or just a dress casual, beach time or a park time or tennis shoes will do. He doesn't tell me where he's going to bring me. He doesn't ask me if I want to go there or not. He just tell me how to dress. You're just executing. Period. Okay? Because that's a date and he is in charge of protecting you on that, right? So the woman doesn't feel protected with you. You're probably one of those good guys and you need to know how to not be a bad guy, but how to be a respectful, you know, full of authority person, right? And there are some steps to learn that, right? But once she disrespected you and she cheated on you, there is no coming back. So stop finding excuses. I should stay there for the kids and for the house and for the money, and who cares?
Yeah. Because I do
Okay.
think about, there was this one dude that I worked with in the past, and it happened to him. And after that, it was really weird because he went from being kind of a very relaxed, chill guy. It happened. He tried to make it work. And then he became one of the most high strung, talking fast, kind of weird guys I've ever seen. And it was
And
weird.
deep down angry and
I
hurt.
think so, yeah. And it's almost like he never recovered, but it's almost like he bounced back in that way. And it didn't make any sense to any of us because we're like, what's with this guy? And he decided to stay and he decided to make it work. I don't know if he's still with her or what, but
I never suggest that, because especially if you have a child, okay, imagine that you are the man who you've been cheated on, right? So you have a boy. Do you realize how that child is afraid of relationships? I don't want to get married with somebody that cheats on me and disrespects me.
Exactly.
Okay. If you have a girl, do you realize she's going to pick on somebody that's going to be a narcissist and a cheater later on because she thinks that this is normal, because we saw her moms.
Yeah.
Right. So things like this, there is no good answer if you have a boy or a girl. Okay. In these kind of situations, you need to make peace and separate.
Interesting.
Okay. Make peace. We're not fighting. We're not arguing. I call it the consistency column and the variety column. And I explain that usually on presentations. It's you want to be on a consistency column and the partner wants to be on a variety column. And you know something? You be on your consistency, but let them free. It clearly doesn't match.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. On the other side, to push them on a consistency like most women do, it's like, oh, we're going to get married and have kids and stuff like that. Did you ask him if this is what he wants? He said so. Are you sure this is what he wants? And he just didn't say it so he can shut up. Okay. Because if you push somebody to the consistency column where they need to settle, if they're not ready, they're going to run away from it sooner or later. And that's normal because they're not ready and they were pushed. Okay.
Exactly.
So these kind of things, you need to know where you are, in which column you are. There is also a lower column and a higher upper column. So theoretically speaking, the lower column, people will consider you inferior, and the upper column, they consider themselves superior. So you can see how it doesn't match and how they look at you like, you're my, slave in the world that's going to do whatever. All right. So these kind of things, this is why we're dancing with these four energies, with these columns, because it's amazing. And yes, you can fix relationships that are broken. In case you are a man have been cheated on, no, you cannot fix that. Don't even try it. All right. There are ways to separate in peace and, with no splitting kids and stuff like that. There are ways to do that. If you have been cheated on, don't think that all women are the same, because they're not the same. You met one of the four women archetypes, okay? And you probably met, one like me, okay? Because I am in that category where I can cheat on anybody and just drop it. It doesn't mean I choose to, right? It's also a matter of choice. I don't get into these kind of situations with men because if I can bring them the right respect, I don't get into a relationship, right?
Exactly.
If I don't feel that I can respect them, right? But don't think that all women are the same. There are another 3 archetypes out there. Not even women like me cheat on men. I never cheated on any man, all right? Even if I am exactly the post child for cheating, right? Because my feelings are very low compared to other people's feelings, right? So don't make, how should I say, don't make reality what you have encountered in the past. It might be a fluke of not knowing the right relationship skills that brought you pain. That doesn't mean it's a reality. Don't make that true. Reality is wider than you think that you have experienced. Does this make sense, CJ?
100%, because it's almost like I heard this one term or this one expression too, where they're talking about how depression is basically you're looking at the past and that's your reference point for everything that's supposed to happen in the future. And a lot of people will dig that up and they'll say, oh, this happened to me with that guy. I expect it to happen again. I'm going to make sure I close up and I suffer and I just feel this pain. And to me, I mean, I think anybody can fall into that trap. And I'm not saying that, it's the exact same thing for everybody, but I think a lot of people will use the past. And I think we as humans are kind of wired to make sure like, oh, this happened before. I know what to expect in the future. Unfortunately, we'll use that for everything. And even in situations where it's not really conducive to our well-being.
There are 5 emotional wounds that keep people in depression. Okay. And most of them are emotional wounding from childhood. Let me explain. That doesn't mean that any kind of trauma or things happened to you. That means that you might have picked up on your family. Depression is a generational condition. It's not a genetic condition. What does that mean? Somebody in your family must have been prone to it or might have it or might hiding it. And you just taking it over and over again until you're able to solve it. Now, we're solving these problems too, because as we're working to build family relationships, a lot of children are depressed. A lot of wives are depressed. A lot of men are depressed. Okay. So each one is different. But please understand that you cannot attract in your life somebody happy if you're not happy. Hurt people will attract hurt people. So when you attract somebody that hurts you or that's hurt himself or herself, understand that there is something that you need to fix within yourself. Now, why we're doing all these kind of relationship courses and these kind of things, we're trying to prevent this depression. Because once it kicks in, it takes about 3 to 5 months of very hard work to get out of it. And not everybody is ready as they're in love with their own pain. And they think their pain, and if they get rid of a pain, what's going to happen? Nothing. You're going to be happy, right? So this is why we're doing these kind of works in sometimes, in less than 6 weeks to change your relationship status, the way you can find the right partner. You can fix your marriage. You can understand your teenagers and have a great relationship with them, right? Do this now before somebody ends up in the trap of depression that takes longer to fix. We do that too. I'm known as an antidepressant expert, okay? Because this is what we do in the long cases, right? The hard cases, but that takes a lot of commitment. And it's nothing like therapy or meds or any kind of these cuckoo things that they fix the symptom, yes, but they don't fix the cause. So we need to go to the cause and fix it. And this is hard for people to admit that they have been hurt a long time ago, right? So this is what we're doing these things, because to be honest with you, nobody that kills themselves, okay, they're killing themselves because they're happy. They kill themselves because they have been depressed. They feel misunderstood. Nobody knew how to teach them how to fix the depression, right? And yes, you have mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, you have mentioned, CJ, that more men die from suicide than women. Actually, more women commit suicide than men.
Interesting.
But because they're emotional, they don't make it to the end, like me. I didn't make it to the end. Okay?
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
I turned emotional. My girlfriend was calling me and I said, "Oh, I forgot to say goodbye to you." And she's like, "What did you do?" And then she called the ambulance and everybody, right? So I messed up my own suicide. Okay. But the men, there are less men committing suicide, but when they do, they're very irrational about it. And this is why more men die from suicide than women, right? Now, let me tell you one thing. We don't want to get there.
No.
If we get there, yes, a lot of times I have to fly in person, okay? I just had somebody this weekend. I had to fly in person and solve that problem. It takes in less than an hour. It takes a temporary solution until we go through the entire course of overcoming depression, stuff like that, okay? But if you get to that idea that, life is suffering and there is no end, I can tell every kid out there, every adult out there, young adult out there, you want to get rid of this pain. You don't want to get rid of your life.
No.
You want to get rid of a pain. And we do have strategies and techniques to get rid of a pain. You just have to be willing to make that commitment that you want to. Okay. And yes, you can keep your life, get rid of a pain and keep your life. Okay.
Yeah.
It is possible. But to be honest, nobody teaches this to the kids. The kids don't know they have this alternative. Young adults don't know they have this alternative. And then they just stay in suffering forever, or they think that the only way to end suffering is by ending their life. And before you get there, when you're not able to listen anymore, okay, please understand their techniques and strategies. This is what I teach, okay, to get rid of a pain and keep your life.
That's beautiful, honestly, because it makes sense too. And I feel like when a lot of people are just kind of stuck in that hole, they don't make that distinction, you know, and it's almost like it's one and the same. And I mean, I've never been there. Luckily, thank God. Obviously, I felt, lows, but never that low. And I guess for somebody that's going through a continuous just life where you feel like you're just digging yourself deeper into this hole, it almost seems like the exit is too high for me to get out of.
And let me just add one more thing, CJ. When you're at that depth, like I did, right? So low. At the age of 38, I found out that I'm going to die from the same medical condition my mom died overnight. Except my mom died at 55 and I was 38. And I had an 8-year-old child at home. Oh. So when I was so deep in the trenches and I had to make my own decisions, I was 7 months away from healing from generational depression. 7 months away. That after suffering for 27 years, overcoming depression was like, oh, just a piece of cake. It's just a piece of cake after how much suffering I've been through. CJ, I was 234 pounds. I couldn't walk from the couch to the bathroom. The 8-year-old child was helping me in so much pain. I was with 2 hernias of disc, headaches, not able to sleep. And 7 months after, I climb a mountain in Capri. No medical intervention, no nothing. And I'm happy and everybody comes to me because exactly like you said, you have so much energy.
Yeah.
What just happened to you? It's like you're not the same person that was suffering for so many decades, right? So it is possible. When you are at that rock bottom, I don't want anybody to get there like I was in so much suffering that I went through. But you are that close to healing. So don't quit in the last moment. Get the right mentor, get the right coach to move you out of it in the right direction. And this is it. You're just close to getting out. You just don't see it. It's too foggy to see.
I think, well, I mean, for anybody that's been in that situation, because I could only imagine. And I mean, and it's funny because you mentioned that too about, guys, we view it from a very rational standpoint. And yes, right. And
yes.
It's like,
that's why I give people strategies. Number 1, you do this. Number 2, you do this. How many steps? About 1,000. Keep
excellent.
Doing it.
Yeah. And it's like 1, 2, 3. And that's kind of the way that I always.
It's not cuckoo thing. It's not like, life is going to be better. You're going to find the love of your life. You're going to. No. Do some work. This is the work you need to do. Okay?
Exactly. And that's kind of like. Because I always view it all in the same, like for me, personal trainer, I always, I view it in reps and sets. I'm like, all right, give me a plan and give me the reps, give me the sets, and I'll get it done. And I know the rest is just kind of hard work. And that's kind of why so many men would probably be able to just follow your program. Females too, obviously, everybody could just follow it. But it's almost like we need that breakdown. And that pisses me off because I talk to my wife about this all the time. And I'm like, when we're in school, they don't teach us this stuff. They're busy teaching us about wars that nobody cares about. They're teaching us about math that we'll never use. But it's kind of like, this is the stuff that I feel like we need to teach our children, like, hey, man, heads up. You could use this strategy.
It takes my relationship course about 3.5 hours, right? And it takes 5 minutes to explain it to a child. So I just took my son and I just put it on paper and I like, listen, here's where you are. Here's where you need to go. Here's what you need to do. Just the 4 pillars, like, and he's asking me, so mommy, who am I now? Now you're fired. And I'm going to go to air next. Yes, you're going to go to air next. But guess what? If you're not consistent, you're going to lose it and you're going to break your wings. Oh, So I have to be consistent. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Exactly.
Is that simple?
Mm-hmm. And if you can explain it to a child, then you know it's foolproof. And that's the one
Yeah, not
part where
only
like
that,
simplicity.
not only that. We were at the celebrity conference when I spoke on stage with Jillian
Yeah.
Michaels and JT Fox and Jesse Cole, right? And he was the only 14-year-old invited to this celebrity conference.
He was probably pretty happy.
Everybody was mesmerized by the fact that he chose to stay in a suit and tie at the age of 14 at a conference, and he did not choose to play on his cell phone. He was taking notes for 4 days there. And everybody was giving him interviews like, what, you don't play video games? And he was like, no, I don't want to play somebody else's game in life. I want to build my own. I'm looking for ideas how to build my own game of life.
Interesting.
A 14-year-old that was depressed at the age of 8.
Wow. I mean,
when you overcome depression, it's the sky is the limit. It's like you're blooming. It's like there is no limit to what you can accomplish as a child or as an adult. I have in the last 7 years, of course, I've got over 1,000 people out of depression in the last 2 years with this COVID. But in the last 7 years, I have to be honest with you, I have accomplished more than I think 3 or 4 generations of my family.
Wow. And I mean, that's the one thing though, I kind of feel like I was listening to a guy talk about how the Dalai Lama was actually talking about, he feels that certain things need to happen as awful as they may be. And I almost feel like you may have just been called into this. It's almost like, hey, this is an utterly terrible situation. However,
yes, it's a totally terrible situation, but you see, doesn't matter if you believe in God or the universe or whatever you believe in. These horrible pains and sufferings happen only to teach you what it doesn't work.
Yes, yes.
So you can open your mind to what works. At the age of 19 and a half, after my suicidal attempt, I went to study psychology. And I joked today saying that, I entered as a chicken and I exited as a cow, because I probably was the most depressed therapist that ever exited, and now you'll be surprised. Most of our clients are nurses, women clients are nurses and therapists. Most of our men clients are people in the military or with a 9-to-5 job. So, or artists. We have artists, a lot of artists that are falling in depression.
Interesting.
So, things like this, how should I say? You're looking for those skills, exactly like you mentioned. Man, I want the damn formula.
Exactly.
Right? And I went to the university level to look for it. And I tell people, it's like, how about therapy? I'm like, go and spend 12 years. I have a free formula on my website. It's an hour and a half of videos. Yes. Go and spend 12 years to therapy and complaint department. Right? So, things like this that, how should I say, we were used to other people solving our problems.
Yes.
Once it's your hurt, your heartbreak, your depression, your pain, you need to just get the right strategy to solve it, not to expect others to give you the pill to solve it. Exactly. What you're going to do in the next situation, when it comes back again in a different way, shape, or form, you need to know exactly what to do. Right? So these kind of things we're teaching, we're not teaching, don't give him therapy forever, programs forever. It's like, I'm not your babysitter. Okay. I'm teaching you how to fish.
Yes.
So you will never be hungry again for love, for finding the right partner, for not to doubt that the person next to you is cheating on you. It's ridiculous to live like this. You cannot accomplish your potential, your mission in life. You can't even find your potential like this.
No.
You're always on the defense, always being afraid of a next woman manipulating me.
Yeah, and what's, I've been hearing about this red pill society, right? And I've kind of looked into some of that. But a lot of these guys seem like they just kind of have a lot of hate for women. I'm like, I think that's wrong.
And no, I'm not sure that's wrong, because we all started this. Okay, so I'm not sure that's wrong. We all started this, and we didn't get the right, how should I say, relationship skills to understand men. right? A man doesn't want to be manipulated. A man doesn't have to be told what to do. I was having a conversation with somebody in a hallway at the convention center. It was a guy, big guy, and he's like, "Oh, that guy is not knowing where to go to the conference. Let me tell him." I'm like, "Listen, that's disrespectful. He knows we're from the same conference because we have the same name tags.
Yeah.
If he wants to ask a question, he will come to us, okay, and ask us the question. Don't go and start directing people what to do, especially men. Even if you're a man, that's totally disrespectful. How would you feel where you're going to be, somebody else's puppeteer, right?
It's like, yeah,
it's
go
like,
away.
That's super disrespectful." And he's
Exactly.
like, you're right. Okay. So things like this that, we women never understood before, right? And we're imposing, or what I see a lot in my clients is they're always trying to interfere. So it's between men and men conversations, okay? And they're always trying to save a conversation between two men. I'm like, get the hell out of here, woman. If two men can get along with each other, they shouldn't be doing business. Who are you to interfere in the middle?
Exactly. The interjections that we don't want to hear.
Right. So things like this. And when you see that, that hatred comes from us a lot of times, from women, right? It's normal. It's like, I don't want to be manipulated. Leave me alone. Oh, I can do it all by myself. Go do it. Why do you need me for?
Exactly. I mean, for me though,
I'm not sure that should I say, I'm not saying it's good to have anger between any of these sexes, right? But it's based on not knowing the right skills.
Exactly. Because it's kind of like to your point earlier, I kind of feel like you said, it's a dance. It's about balance.
Yes.
And for me, it's kind of like, because I embrace my wife, who's a beautiful feminine woman. She's not a feminist, she's a feminine woman.
Yeah.
She holds it down. She does a fantastic job. And I'm happy, that I have her. Right. But she kind of, I'm not going to say she knows her place, but we have different roles. And we always talk about that. It's about balance.
She knows to know her place. Yes,
exactly.
And we kind of how to bring value to the relationship too.
Exactly. And I'm kind of like, I don't hate on all women. I don't hate on all men. I'm like, I'm very happy with the woman I got, but I enjoy the balance that I have. Right. Because it's not about just, I hate you. And I'm like, no, let's take a step back. And I think with what you're trying to teach, it's like, hey, you got to understand there's different versions of us. Right. We're not all one and the same.
Let me give you an example. I had a CEO woman, a client of a company, who came to me, and she was giving me, she was on the phone. It's like, "I have my divorce paper in my hand. You have 1 week to fix my marriage, or I'm just going to shove this in his face." I said, "Okay, I need 3 days." Put your divorce papers in the closet where your husband cannot find them, period. Yep. Okay, not even if he's looking for them. Okay. So I gave her my relationship course. That's 3.5 hours. Like, listen, I can't explain everything. It's in it. Just go for it. Call me as soon as you finish. She called me the same day. Oh my God. I was like, what happened? I am the one who doesn't understand my husband. It's not my husband who doesn't understand me. Like, oh, okay, you ready to fix it? Yes. Now, I usually fix it really fast. And some people get overwhelmed. I know you're a big CEO of company, you don't have time. Do you want the entire formula, or you want me to, do step 2-3 things a day, or give it to me all? Okay, here it is. In 3 days, she had the perfect relationship with her husband. 6 weeks after, she calls me. I think I messed up.
Uh-oh.
What did you do? What did you do? Well, I had to take a call, really quick call from my company, and I had to fire a guy who, works for us for 15 years. He's very useful for the company, but he really messed up, and I got sick with it. And like, okay, when you fired him, your husband heard everything. Yeah. And when you fired him, was it with zero emotion? Yeah. And in the meantime, what did you do with those divorce papers in the closet? They're still there. You see what the problem is. You got rid of a guy who brought a lot of value to your company for 15 years. You only been married for 9 years. and you're still having a backup plan to divorce your husband in the closet, you still didn't throw away the papers. Do you see what the problem?
Yeah.
So if it took you 2 minutes to get rid of a guy, how long is going to take you? How many minutes? Okay, is going to last your husband?
Yeah.
Okay. She realized that. She actually ended up, for the first time in her life, asking forgiveness from him. Everything was perfect.
Wow.
And this is possible. When you don't, how should I say? I have on my website a thing called Better Ask Ana.
Yeah.
One question, then make a mistake in life that's going to put you in depression, as divorced and separated, when you could have fixed it so easily. Yeah. Right? So better ask one question. I'll give you the answer for free. Just don't mess up your life like that with
100.
one rush decision, believing that somebody doesn't understand you and they need to go.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, I think for a lot of us, it's almost like sometimes we jump to those conclusions. I know I have. I mean, I think everybody kind of does.
Yeah, anger does a lot, right?
Yeah,
but
it's like,
this is why I teach, how should I say? I teach you the solution before the challenge occurs. So when the problem comes up, it's like, oh, but they already know the answer.
Exactly.
Then you don't lead with anger, because when emotions are high, intelligence is low.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know. I think we all know that. And I think it's actually been studied that clinically your IQ level drops by like 50 points or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, we've all seen a lot of idiots act out in rage, myself included. Like, and we see kids, you see everybody. And I mean, it's no different, no matter the age.
Yeah. So, little things like this, sometimes I prefer to give people the solution. This is the solution, but it never happened. Man, if it happens, you got the answer.
Exactly. Now, tell us more about where we can get the answers, Ana, and where we can follow you.
Okay, so I have a website called betteraskana.com. Gotcha. And in that website, we have free classes for healthy relationships and parenting teenagers, because please understand that all these problems, a lot of times, they start with teenagers not being understood by their parents. And one thing, if you're a parent, you don't want is for your child to blame you. Like I was blaming my father that he abandoned me, when I realized that I would abandon her too. Okay, if I would be in his place, right?
Yeah.
So, things like that. On the same website, we also have a possibility to ask a question. You have to wait a couple of days until you get the answer, but the answer is for free. You can text us your question. Don't make mistakes in life. Don't make harsh decisions. Divorces, separation, all these are having huge repercussions, okay, that put you in depression, okay? So don't do these things before you ask a question, and I'll tell you exactly the answer and what's the next step for you for free. And also for the ones that do have problems with depression, we do have 2 courses for free, one for parents with teenagers and young adults, and one for adults in depression, where I give you in about an hour and a half the entire formula for free, how to overcome depression.
Excellent. Excellent. And on Instagram and YouTube, I'm going to add those links as well. But where can they follow you on Instagram, just so they know too right off the bat?
Everything is Ana Lennyr, ANALENNYR. But the easier way to find me is betteraskana with one.com, because we have everything for free there. Everything for there is for free.
And we love resources. I know I do.
Yeah. Knowledge, information. This is what saves people from pain and hurt. Knowledge and information, not who could do dreamland, I'm hurt and I'm going to be hurt forever. That doesn't save you from pain and suffering.
It never does. And like I said before, I love strategies. I love formulas. So I'm all about that. And I can't wait to go to your website myself and pick up some things that I know I need. But Ana, it was an absolute pleasure having you today. And any closing words on your end?
Whatever hardships you have encountered in life, probably you need just 1 or 2 skills that you're missing to just overcome them and have the happiest and loving life you want. Don't quit on love. Life without love is a very sad life. Never quit on love. If somebody that was suicidal with 2 divorces, depressed, can do it and can help others today, okay, so can you. There are no excuses. Just get the right formulas. Do not live in suffering. It's not worth it.
I love that. And I mean, I don't know what else to add to that other than, guys, please check out Ana out. A lot of good resources, and you want to get the most out of this life. And I think she's got the tools to help you. So on that note, take care, Ana. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you, CJ.